funding resources to help them get or foster relationships with other community services that are offering similar supports and refer those clients on, and also to provide them with the time to downsize or reduce their services and staffing if necessary.
And thank you, Gillian. And when you and Amanda were in my office, the B and C part of the recommendations, this is politically, if you will, advocating and strongly encouraging both the provincial and federal levels to adequately fund these type of strategies. Otherwise, the municipality will not have sustainable funding. Mr. Chairman, through to Gillian, please.
Through the chair, just to confirm that the reduction in funding for these 6 projects is not a reflection on the quality of service that they are.
I really think so.
Councillor Green is
Notre Dame very hard.
And then I read an editorial which suggests that we should
moved by Councillor Jackson and second by Councillor Green. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. So now we're at general information. Notice of motions. Any notice of motions? Seeing none. General information, other business. I call on Joanne Priel to provide us with an update on the Ontario Works Social Assistance Management System, SAMS.
Through you, Mr. Chair, and appreciate the opportunity to brief committee. So our Ontario staff continue to try and work with the challenges presented by the new social assistance management system. We're into a recovery state. We have redeployed 64 people from other places in Ontario Works to help. What that means is that we're not doing verification, we're not doing fraud, we're not doing family support, we're not doing employment consulting, we're not doing most of our regular work because of the, like I said, we've had to take 64 people and redeploy them into the case management side of OW. The reason for that is that we're still doing manual applications. So we're not doing applications as clients sit across from the case manager at their desk. They take down the information manually, and then after the client leaves, they input it into SAMS. They don't want the client sitting there across from them as they fumble through the system. But because they're doing it sort of twice, we've had to redeploy people to do our other regular business. We don't anticipate that that's going to be in place until the earliest, the end of March. If we are successful, and our staff was successful at that, that means that we would start to transition back to people that have come from other places in the division to help out. Recognizing, though, that those people have not used SAMS yet, so I'm not sure what kind of it. Nobody knows what normal is going to look even once we've recovered to that point, because we're thinking that this system and the way that it's going to change how we operate, that it will change how we operate for good. So that's the state that we're in. I've briefed the mayor. Briefed Councillor Whitehead the other day as chair of the committee. Be sending out another message to staff within the next day or so, which talks about the recovery plan and gives them a little bit more detail in terms of how we are going to recover from this in the medium to long term.
Thank you. And just for further information, at Gen Review, I did ask this update to come here at 1 and 2. There is a report that's expected to come back and look at the actual financial cost of dealing with the rolling out of SAMS to this community and the taxpayers of this community, and we expect that report to be coming soon as well. So I just want to provide that additional information. So I got Matt and then Judy. Sorry, Judy and then Matt.
Thank you. I was. Through you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for that, Joanne, and you and I spoke briefly just before the meeting. Is the province taking any responsibility for this at all? Like, I think it's just absolutely unconscionable what's happening with our staff, and more importantly, with our residents that are caught up in this system. Is the province at all taking responsibility, or what comments are they saying?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I have the most recent email here that I received from the lead on implementation of SAMS. I would say that they're not acknowledging the depth of the issue. In the email correspondence I've seen, whether they've communicated that to people who are talking to them on the phone, As you know, there's been 2 committees that have been put in place, supported by the province, to try and work through some of the issues. We have a representative on one of them. They don't use the word glitch anymore, I would say. In this email that I got, they do acknowledge the low morale among staff, and that some places have started a recovery plan, which includes no longer doing manual applications. So I think that, if you read between the lines, they know the difficulties that we're under. But I wouldn't say that I've heard anything that different from their messaging up to this point.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And when you say that staff are doing the manual applications, I mean, I can't imagine. That's like putting us 20 years ago when we didn't have computers. It just seems so ridiculous. But how long do we anticipate that we will need to have staff do those applications manually? What's your best guess on that?
So this will be communicating to staff within the next couple of days in terms of what we see as a recovery plan and a gradual return to computer data and computer application entry. Like I said, I'm hopeful that we'll be back to doing that by the end of March. So we're going to begin this month with a slow, gradual sort of transition there. It's not going to be like everybody go back and do, computer applications, because I'm not sure how that's going to go. So we're going to do a phased return and see how phase 1 goes before we start phase 2, etc. So we're aiming for the end of March.
Okay, well, I commend you on that, because it's certainly, this whole position that the municipality has been put in is not certainly of our doing. It's strictly been imposed on us without a lot of good insight from what I can gather. And talking about the cost recovery opportunities, and I understand that there will be a report coming forward which will provide more information on what the costs have been associated with the moving around of staff and the length of time and the delays. Is that something that you feel or could see the province covering any of those costs if we were to make a special motion and get into that dialogue with them? What are your thoughts on that?
Through you, Mr. Chair, so far from the province, we've been allocated $366,000 to support the cost of implementation.
Okay.
We've just commenced, sort of as part of our IMS regular reporting, asking for daily, weekly counts in terms of costs, because there's some things that we haven't been capturing. For instance, my time, Jillian's time, Grace's time, pulling them off of their regular duties. So we've now adopted a template that Public Health has used in terms of their emergencies and reclaiming costs from the province. We're going to capture every cost and send it to the province, and if it goes over the $366,000 that we've been allocated, I would definitely expect them to pick up the cost. Whether they will or not remains to be seen, but we're going to track every cent that we spend.
Good for you. No, and I think we should really hold a hard line on that and make sure that we do recoup our costs. What's the morale like right now?
We had a meeting last week with the management team in Ontario Works, all of them. I asked to give me one word that describes how you're feeling right now and how your staff are. Some people said they were exhausted, they were tired, they were waiting. Some people said that they were feeling a little bit optimistic in terms of at least we've got things under control. So I would say it was a mixed bag, but nobody's feeling that great. And I would say that the majority are feeling tired. They're tired and they're concerned about their staff and the staff that we've redeployed, because those staff want to get back to their jobs.
Yeah.
So the managers are doing a great job in terms of working with their staff, a really great job, but I can see on their faces they're pretty tired.
I appreciate that, Joanne. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, through you to Joanne and Jillian, first I just want to commend you on working through what must have been a very difficult time over the holidays. I know my call volume dropped significantly in the new year, but that's not to say that the problem's gone away. So I note that and appreciate the pressure that your staff might be under, having gone through those tours with our chair, Councillor Whitehead. So I guess my question is related to the government's or the province's response. And my understanding is they responded by providing your department 2 additional staff members once or twice a week. Would you mind just kind of summarizing the province's personnel response to deal with SAMs?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's correct, I think, and Carrie, who is here somewhere, there correct me or add to this. They did send 2 technical experts. One was here, I think, Carrie, a couple of days a week. They only just started last week. And the answer that I got, because I was anticipating a question to that extent, is the belief is that while these resources do not possess unique skills to solve issues in real time, having them encounter the technical issues along with our staff provides a validation of the issues we face as they report back to the province. So I don't think that they've been able to do that much for us while they're here. But the point for us is they validated that the issues that we're seeing here are not us. And that's not us causing the issues. They're in fact issues with the technology. And just through you, Mr. Chair, Carrie, are they still here? Both of them? Okay, so they're both here. One's leaving next week.
And through you, Mr. Chair, as a follow-up question, is their personnel allocation reflected or included in the monies that have been transferred from the province in the sum of 300 and such, or is that an addition to?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that would be in addition to the money that they've provided us.
So, Mr. Chair, through you to Joanne, is it fair to say then, given the short term for which this failure has occurred, and given the monies that they have allocated, would it be safe to say that in that allocation of monies, they've kind of admitted culpability in some of their financial responsibility?
Through you, Mr. Chair, they allocated most of that. Well, they allocated $116,000 of that in December of 2013. So I think it was too soon for them to even know about the issues that we were going to face. Then they allocated another $66,000 in May. So it was all pre-implementation. So I would say that half of that money they allocated to us without recognizing any of the issues that we were going to face. And even the other bit of the money came in December the 8th. So that was really early on. We'd only been 2-3 weeks into implementation. So I don't think that this money was about what we're facing now and in the future, because unless they knew something that they weren't sharing with us, I don't think that they expected the depths of the problems either. I think our issue is going to be in the amount of time it's going to take us to recover and the lost revenues that we're going to find as a result of the implementation, and the overtime and the in-kind contributions of time. Jillian's spending more of her time on this than she is of her other job, or she was in December. We're not doing performance appraisals. We're not doing any of our corporate work. We're not, the list goes on. I'm not going to read it to you, but there's a whole list of work that we're not going to get to. And what we have to do is find a way to be able to financially quantify that and report that back to the province.
Okay, so I think that's very important information, Mr. Chair, to the members of this committee, that no additional resources pertaining to this particular failure, aside from the personnel that they brought in, which had no additional specific skills to be able to deal with this issue, but for acknowledging or as a consolation to the feelings of the staff at that time. I'm kind of confused in terms of the response by the province in that regard, and that they wouldn't have had something more substantial as a response to this, as it is something that's ongoing. So I very much, Mr. Chair, look forward to the report, especially pertaining to the fiscal cost recovery, and making sure that all monies coming from our municipality to this particular failure are annotated, be it in kind or otherwise, to make sure that our ask to the province is one that is very specific for cost recovery, because it echoes what my colleagues have said around the downloading, and this particular one, I think, given the nature of our budget, is very important to note. So again, Mr. Chair, through you to the staff and to Jillian and Joanne and the rest of your management team, frontline, know that we're still keenly supportive and watching and hoping that we can support.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Councillor Green to take the chair. And again, I want to thank staff and reinforce the message we've indicated in the past to our frontline workers. Thank you for their patience and perseverance, because they are the last line in regards to ensuring that the most vulnerable in our community are getting a level of service. So it's so important to ensure that we remind ourselves of the importance of that front line. Second piece is this hangover is not going away. So when we talk about quantifying costs over the period of time, there's still ongoing issues with reconciliation of where NSF checks, for example. I'm not sure who is taking the responsibility when a recipient is providing post-dated checks, expecting those dollars to be transferred, and they're not being transferred in a timely fashion, and all of a sudden we got NSF checks, another $25, $30 bill to the person that could least afford it. I'm not sure who's picking up that tab. Can you help me with that?
So given that, through you, Mr. Chair, given that some of that is happening, I would say that we take that back to our recovery team, because these are issues that we're going to come across as we sort of return to our normal work, and how do we handle them. So we'll make sure, I don't have an answer for you right now, but we'll see how we can handle that.
So just on a principle point of view, I want to make it clear, and I believe my colleagues would support me, whenever that took place, that clearly is defined as a mistake of the system and not the mistake of the recipient. The recipient should not be re-victimized by having the responsibility of covering off that NSF check. So that's just a principle that I'd like us to address, and if you identify areas where that's applicable, then and you need to come back to a committee to test the will of this council, please do that. The second area is I have no idea, but clearly over Christmas time there was a lot of due diligence done, and probably on the other side of the coin, you were ensuring that there were not underpayments, but in some cases may have been a lot more overpayments. So again, when I'm looking at the tax for this community, there's only one taxpayer, and I have no idea how you quantify that. That's part of that reconciliation that I'm talking about. What length of time are we going to be able to get a handle on how many overpayments have we established over this period of time?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's one of those things, one of the reasons why I said 12 to 18 months until we're out of recovery period, because we're going to have to get back, those staff have to get back to their jobs, train on SAMs, pull files, compare with what checks went out, how much they were entitled to, and do the verification. So that could be 6 months from now before we find those things out. I would say that and I know I don't want to say whether we're expecting lots or none, because I really don't.
Anyway, I appreciate that. I just wanted to spell out that it's not just this administrative nightmare and cost implicated as a result of the rollout, but there's an ongoing hangover that will go for months. Even if we get the administrative piece under control, there's still going to be a hangover in regards to reconciliation of some of the funds that were established through this period. So I want to illustrate the fact that this could be for at least 8, 9, 10, 12 months out before we get a better handle on the implications of this system. So those are my comments, and I'll take the chair back. And at this point, we have that was the update. We have no private and confidential, so I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Green, second by Councillor Partridge. Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you. Anyone opposed?